Donnie and Dolly. The team is supported by ableauctions.ca. Closing your business? We can help.
It's Thursday, and all today's guests, including Kevin Woodley, standing by, brought to you by the Vancouver Giants, celebrating anniversary 25. Saturday, the Giants take on Canuck draft pick Parker Alkos in the Edmonton Oil Kings at the LEC Puck Drop 7. Also a reminder to get your tickets now for the Teddy Bear Toss game. Listen, Rick, against Victoria, Saturday, December 13th. Visit VancouverGiants.com for ticket info. Canucks minus Thatcher Demko in Carolina to start a 3-game road trip tomorrow against the Hurricanes. Kevin Woodley is here to talk to us now from InGoal Magazine and NHL.com. Thatcher Demko, lower body injury, well documented, out, reported 2 to 3 weeks, maybe longer. Kevin, thanks for doing this, sir. Short notice, we appreciate it. How are you?
I'm good. I want to know if Rick can actually go to a teddy bear toss game because he's such a teddy bear himself. Will people just pick him up and throw him on the ice?
Yes.
Yeah.
Absolutely. Great call. Great call.
You have no idea how much we'd like to see that, Kevin. Hey, do you have any update? Do you know anything about Thatcher Demko's health?
Oh, I leave the scoops to Rick Dollywall. Let me tell you that. I try and stay out of that side. All I know is he's, evidently not on the start of this road trip, and they're going to have to survive with Kevin Lankinen for the next little bit. I'm kind of curious to see with the schedule and some back-to-backs coming up. It sounds like, obviously Frank Saravelli's reporting, although 2 to 3 weeks, although it sounded like maybe there were some more scans or whatever that had to be done. At the end of the day, they don't have them now, and that's a tough break for a team that was counting on having elite goaltending every night to lose, top 5 guy in the league for any period of time in this condensed schedule.
Kevin, when you saw the play that supposedly, reportedly, was the play in question here where Thatcher Demko got hurt, the play against the Jets early on, first period, what went through your mind?
Honestly, at the time, it didn't sort of register. I had a few people send me notes and direct messages pretty quickly after as the TV spotted him stretching out, sort of indicating that he didn't look right after that point. But it wasn't until Kevin Lankinen came out in the second period that the eyebrows were raised and you realized this was something somewhat significant. When you look back on the play, it's kind of something that's plagued the Canucks as a team, not blaming them for this injury, but the backdoor plays, east-west in the defensive zone. We used to hear Rick talk a lot about making the goalie only have to worry about one side of the net. And right now, mid-November here, the Canucks are dead last by the numbers I have from Clearsight Analytics in terms of east-west plays against them and the goals, expected goals off of those plays in the entire National Hockey League. So 32 out of 32. And so anytime you get yourself into that situation, post to post, east to west, you've got to extend, open up, you're trying to react. It puts a lot of strain on the body, whether it's ankles, knees, hips, groins, like it's all one chain. And it's under a ton of pressure anytime you have to get extended like that. And in this case, obviously, it sounds like the groin is what gave out.
10 starts for him. What's your opinion of his season so far? And something you touched on there, do you think he's been handled properly by the Canucks?
I don't know what more they could do, to be honest with you, right? Like maybe a few practices off, but they've barely practiced. They've basically started Kevin Lankinen 1 out of every 3. Demko hasn't played more than 2 in a row. When he wasn't able to practice on Friday, they gave him the weekend off. So, I don't know that this is a blame thing. This is just, these things happen. And, obviously more so to Thatcher Demko. The injury history is well documented. And you feel bad because you know how hard he works to sort of make this a season where this didn't happen. And here we are again.
Where's your concern level, Kevin, for the future? Like I see now, he's hurt again. He's made of glass. What are the Canucks doing? Why did they extend him? Like, where's your concern level going forward with injuries in Thatcher?
Well, we're 5 years in as a starter and yet to get to the finish line healthy in any of those seasons, right? Even if you look back at the year he started 64, he was playing hurt down the stretch. Ultimately, once they were out of the playoffs, I think that's 21-22, they had to rest him down the stretch. He ends up having knee surgery. So there's been multiple knee surgeries. We know about the hip surgeries after Boston College. That's a lot of wear and tear on the lower body in a position that, the body wasn't designed to get into the butterfly. And he does it at end ranges of motion, the width in his butterfly, the explosiveness in his movements. Like there's just a lot of pressure on the lower body. And so far, he hasn't been able to get through a season healthy as part of that. That's the challenge. Every second year, if you look at the history, when he has a healthy offseason, he's had, played more games the following season. And the pattern would be this would be one of those years. And who knows? Maybe this is just a 2-week injury. Maybe he's back after 2-3 weeks and he makes it through to the end of the season. And this was just, put in an extreme position off an east-west backdoor play and tweak the groin, and he comes back and everything is fine. But sometimes when you miss a period of time, it can be like trying to hop on a moving train when you do come back. And so, given the history, they'll have to be careful with how they manage that. Long-term beyond that, Rick, like at the end of the day, all I know is when this guy's healthy, he's one of the best goalies in the league. Like he's top 5 for sure. Was playing at a top 5, top 10 level before he got hurt or before the recent stretch of games going into the injury. It's all a matter of how much and how often can you get that guy out there. And if you make the playoffs, can you have him healthy for the end of the season? Because he is a guy who has the potential to be a difference maker once they get there. It's just the challenge is getting him there healthy. And at the end of the day, after 5 years, it's really hard for me to sit here and say, oh, no, this is the time. This will be the year. Something's changed. I know how hard he's worked. I know the changes he's made. Just the body keeps letting him down. And so you hope that he'll get that opportunity. You hope that he comes back and he's strong and healthy. And then for the 3-year extension, he can continue that on. But that would be ignoring the history of the last 5 years. So it's a bit of an uphill task.
What about the backup situation? Okay, Patera's on the trip. They left last night. Tolopilo, I'm told, is very close. He might travel with Abbotsford this weekend. Where's your confidence level with the backups in case Thatcher's out 2, 3, 4, 5 weeks?
Well, I mean, I haven't seen much of Yuri Patera. I like the signing when they made it. And you got to remember, when they made that signing, the intention was to sort of have him follow in the Spencer Martin, Colin Delia path. There were things in his game that they liked from a skill set standpoint, but there were some things that they planned on changing. If you remember when Martin and Delia came in, they started in the minor leagues of the American Hockey League. I think it was Curtis Sanford at the time was the goalie coach down there. The goalie coaches were all sort of preaching the same system, sort of that Ian Clark staple system style of play. And goalies like Martin and Delia were given time early in the American Hockey League season to add and get comfortable with some of those elements in their game. And it paid off for them. Ultimately, with Martin for a stretch, not long-term, Delia maybe a little less so, but you sort of added tools to a skills package, a goaltender that you thought could make them better in the National Hockey League. The challenge for Patera was twofold. One, obviously the injury that cost him most of last season, but also there was no Ian Clark system being taught at the beginning of last year in the American Hockey League. As a matter of fact, I mean, they hired a new goalie coach in Justin Pogge, who brought a ton of his own sort of teaching and skills and abilities, and I've heard nothing but great things about, but he wasn't indoctrinated into the Clark system. And you've got Marco Terranius, who was in his first year at the National Hockey League level. And my understanding is that the goalies were actually being taught and told to do different things at each level, and that's never ideal. It continued right through to development camp last year. It feels like they're on the same page now, but Patera's never had that. So he's never sort of had that, here's how we play, here's how it will benefit you. So you're very much still got the raw tools that they signed 2 years ago. And honestly, I just haven't had a chance to see that in action to see what it looks like. Curious to see if we find out on this road trip, back-to-back games in Florida as part of it. Lankinen, I thought, got better as he played more over this past weekend. And I know 3 and 4 is tough, but by the time you got to that Winnipeg game coming off the bench, second and third periods, where I thought some of his best work so far this season, if they can limit some of that backdoor stuff that exposes him even more than Demko, because he's typically further out on the other side of those passes to start with, so longer distance to come across, like you've got a chance to get the guy you had at the beginning of last season when he was playing every night, a guy that can give you high-end number one minutes and maybe help this team survive this stretch without Thatcher.
Talking with Kevin Woodley, InGoal Magazine, NHL.com. Kevin, Arturs Silovs in Pittsburgh, what do you read into his numbers? They're not bad. .916 save percentage, .249 goals against average.
Yeah, it's funny, and good for him, right? Like, we saw the success he had in the playoffs last year after, a terrible season with the big club before that. So like I'm looking at the numbers and they all check out. Like when I look at the clear side chart, like his adjusted save percentage is well above expected. He's one of the top 15 goalies in the National Hockey League by that count. The other thing that jumps out, other than the struggles in the shootouts, which are almost inexplicable, I think he's only stopped 1 of 9 and lost all 3 shootouts. And yet on breakaways this season, he stopped 8 of 10. So that's an odd anomaly for me. The thing that jumps out the most, and I actually had this conversation with the goalie coach, goalie director recently, is that the book sort of got written on him here in the Western Conference by Edmonton in the playoffs. And we saw Calgary the next year. Traffic and taking away his eyes and learning to manage traffic was something he struggled with. They haven't seen those types of chances in Pittsburgh yet. It's almost like the Eastern Conference doesn't have that book or isn't paying attention to it. I don't know if that's because in a condensed schedule, 1 of 82 on a Wednesday night in Pittsburgh, nobody's sort of digging that deep into Arturs Silovs and how to beat him, especially with the Penguins not being a juggernaut that maybe you do that kind of prep for. But at the end of the day, he hasn't faced nearly as many of those types of chances as he did last season with the Vancouver Canucks. He was targeted specifically. I remember that opening night against Calgary. That's all they threw at him. But he's also handled it well on the screen chances he's had. And that's the one thing goalies will tell you in the NHL now. Like, it's never been tougher to manage traffic. Not just the amount of it, the intensity of it, but the purposeful nature of it. Like, guys not just going to the front of the net, but specifically trying to take away the lanes that they know goalies are trying to see through, make them move their eyes at exactly as the shot's being taken. It's never been tougher. And for young goalies coming into it, there's a learning curve. So maybe part of this is less of those chances, but also Arturs finally learning how to sort of manage those chances. Overall, he's been great for the Penguins.
Kevin Woodley, thanks so much for doing this. We appreciate it, my friend.
Thanks, guys. Off to PWHL practice.
Yes.